Apparently, cashews are toxic. And I'm not talking about carb count. I'm talking about poisonous and could potentially kill me. Dr. Mike, a New York family physician, put up a video recently talking about how certain foods that we eat on a very regular basis, foods that I was eating, have toxins in them that could make us violently ill. So in the duh category, we have pufferfish, also known as fugu, and we have castor seeds. Pufferfish is a Japanese delicacy that's made from a poisonous fish, and there's ricin in castor seeds. In both cases, proper preparation is needed to avoid death. Now, I don't like fish. I've never tried fugu, but when it comes to castor oil, I do use that as a moisturizer. When I learned this, can I just say how happy I am that I get my castor oil from the health food store rather than the dollar store or off the internet? Can you imagine moisturizing with ricin? Doesn't sound good. Now, in the interesting category, we have apple seeds. And this one shocked me. They have amygdalin in them, which when you swallow them in your stomach, they get turned into cyanide. Now, although most people don't eat apple seeds, I've seen it done. Like, I've seen people eat the entire apple. Red kidney beans, if undercooked, have lectins in them that cause vomiting, abdominal pain, diarrhea, etc. Potatoes, if they have any green on them, so they're not ripe enough, or if they're sprouting, any of those eyes, as we call them, so they're overly ripe, have solanine. Solanine is a nerve toxin, which can cause vomiting, paralysis, diarrhea, and death. When I used to eat chips, I totally remember getting green ones, and I ate them. I had no clue that green potatoes were toxic. I wonder if that could possibly explain my early onset of joint issues. I mean, I wonder if that was part of it. But I'll even say, like, when I was peeling potatoes for my mom, I never remember throwing away the potatoes that had green. I don't even remember cutting off the green piece. I remember just peeling the potato, cutting them up, and throwing them in the pot. I had no idea they were poisonous. In the really category, rhubarb has oxalic acid in the leaves that causes kidney failure. And the one that was the most displeasing for me to learn about was cashews. Apparently, if you eat raw cashews, they have urushiol, don't know if I'm saying that word right, the same toxin that's found in poison ivy. And if you eat that, it can be fatal. I want to take a moment to pay attention to the really category, because an ounce of cashews, which is a serving, is only 7.6 grams of carbohydrates. 1 cup of rhubarb, a serving, is 3.3 grams of carbohydrates. Dr. Mike was careful to point out that apple seeds, rhubarb leaves, nutmeg, and green potatoes were toxic if eaten in large amounts. Elderberries, lychee, and cashews only if eaten raw and improperly processed. Wellness Warriors, I'm really curious to know if you guys eat any of the foods that are on this list. And if you did, were you aware of the prep necessities and the cooking requirements that Dr. Mike is talking about? Were you aware that you shouldn't eat certain parts of the plant like Dr. Mike is talking about? Put it in the comments below. I'm wondering if I'm the only person that was in the dark about this. I mean, I don't like to cook, so it's possible that I'm just flabbergasted because I had no idea. When we're talking about the foods in the really category, it made me think about the part where when I go to the grocery store, I've seen raw cashews on a shelf. I've bought raw cashews. I've eaten raw cashews. How shocked was I to learn that they weren't raw? They tasted raw. They didn't taste like the roasted cashews. What's the difference? So those cashews that say raw cashews have actually been heat treated to kill, remove, denature the urushiol that's in it. And that's, I guess, that's to protect us. But then why market them as raw? My issue with this is if I had gone to the tropics, let's say, and seen a cashew in the wild, I might have wondered, hey, wonder what it tastes like directly from the tree, and allowed myself to eat that because I've eaten raw cashews before, not realizing, no, I hadn't. They had been heat treated. Again, am I the only one thinking? It's like, is it possible that by not telling us that that's poisonous, you open that door for someone to think they could just pop a cashew off the fruit and eat it. But more importantly, my second issue is that we are often told by doctors that foods are healthy and safe for us to eat. Like throughout this video, Dr. Mike kept saying that these foods are safe and eat your vegetables and don't forget to eat them, but just don't eat too much, or make sure that they're well prepared. Or how do I know that I'm preparing it incorrectly if I don't know that it's possibly poisonous to begin with? So for example, let's say I was somehow given the opportunity to have fresh rhubarb. Maybe my neighbor's growing it. Is there a possibility that now I eat those leaves and end up getting sick? But the thing that's kind of in my head causing a bit of frustration here is, if the leaves have toxic levels of oxalic acid in them, wouldn't it stand to reason that the rest of the plant might have some level of oxalic acid? Now, I'm pretty sure the doctors are going to say, well, but you're not eating the leaves, you're eating the stalk. Then even if I'm not eating the leaves, I'm eating the stalk. And if there's less oxalic acid in the stalk, isn't it possible that I might still have a reaction? I made a video about nightshades that I'm going to link right here that questioned professionals telling us that the foods we eat are safe and couldn't be causing us to have a reaction when we are feeling the results of having eaten those foods. It happened to me with nightshades. We are so focused on entertaining our mouths and indulging in eating that we're willing to ignore that there are poisons in the foods that we actually do not need to be eating. And unfortunately, if you happen to be one of the people that does react to the small amount of toxin in the food that you ate, your doctor is going to dismiss you and say it's impossible because you didn't eat enough to have a reaction. Wellness warrior, I want you to consider that it is your body that tells you what a safe amount of a food is for you to eat and what is toxic by the way your body is reacting. If you have a reaction, you had a toxic amount. Wellness warrior, I'm always so happy that you come back. And if you're new, welcome. Check out the description for links to more videos that can help you to get on the road to health, and also ways that you can help to support the channel. I love making these videos for you, and I cannot wait to talk to you again next week.